Percent composition. We can use the information from the formula of a compound to find the percent composition by mass of each element in that compound. We use the mass of each element in 1 mole of the compound. So when we figure out the mass percent, we would take the mass of the element that's in the compound, which we find off the periodic table as the atomic mass. We would divide it by the mass of the entire compound, which would be our molar mass or our molecular weight or our formula weight, and then we would multiply it by 100. It's the same as we would do to find the percent of anything. We would take the part over the whole times 100. So the mass of the element over the mass of the total compound times 100. So let's use for an example the compound ethanol. Ethanol is C2H5OH. So it contains the elements carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. There are 2 carbons, 5 plus 1 or 6 hydrogens, and 1 oxygen. So the first thing we would have to do is find out the molecular weight or the molar mass for ethanol. So we've got 2 carbon atoms in our formula times 12.01. We've got 6 hydrogens in our compound times 1.01. And we've got 1 oxygen in our compound times 16.00. We add all those numbers together, and the molecular mass, or the molar mass, is 46.08 grams per mole for our compound. So the next thing we want to do is solve for the mass percent of each compound. So if we look at the mass percent for carbon, we would take the mass of carbon in the compound, which we determined to be 24.02, divided by the total, which we determined to be 46.08, and multiply that by 100. And that would tell us that the mass percent of carbon in ethanol is 52.13%. We would do the same thing for hydrogen. The mass we determined to be 6.06. We divide it by the total, 46.08, multiply it by 100, and that would give us a percent of 13.15. Then we would look at oxygen, 16.00 divided by the total of 46.08 times 100, and that would give us 34.72. And an easy way for us to check our answer is if we add the percents of each of the elements in the compound together, they're going to add up to 100%.